Your own words are being used to destroy you right now. Someone is sitting in a room, planning your downfall with sentences you spoke months ago. That joke you made is evidence, that secret you shared is leverage, that moment of weakness is their path to victory. And the great Renaissance thinker Niccolò Machiavelli wrote centuries ago that a wise leader must understand when keeping promises actually works against their own interests. And this timeless wisdom about power and human nature reveals a fundamental truth that most people never realize. We all follow predictable psychological patterns, and those who understand these patterns control their destiny while those who remain ignorant become victims of their own impulses. And the most dangerous delusion of modern life is believing you are immune to these patterns, and you are not, and your tongue has been betraying you your entire life. And in the next few minutes, you'll discover the psychological traps that turn your mouth into your executioner. So drop this affirmation: I speak only to win. And number 1 is the rage revelation, where anger acts as truth serum in your body, and when fury takes control, your brain literally shuts down its security systems and your mouth becomes a confession booth against your will, and every grievance you've silently endured, every resentment you've carefully hidden, every dark thought you've suppressed comes pouring out like poison because your rational mind has been temporarily disabled by the chemical flood of rage. And human beings are fundamentally irrational creatures despite what we like to believe, and we make decisions based on emotion and then use logic only to justify those decisions afterward. And the person who masters their emotions gains real power because they operate from clarity while everyone else operates from confusion. And the person who triggers your anger isn't your enemy in that moment but your interrogator, and they've just discovered the fastest way to extract your deepest truths. And we all present curated versions of ourselves to the world, but your anger tears your own mask off while you're busy feeling justified in your rage, and in those moments, others are collecting intelligence about who you really are beneath the facade, mapping your emotional terrain, identifying exactly which buttons to push next time they need something from you. And rage makes you predictable because once someone knows what makes you explode, they effectively own you, and they can trigger your fury whenever they need you to reveal something, make a mistake, or destroy your own credibility, and your anger becomes their remote control. And predictable people are controllable people, and controllable people never rise to positions of real power or influence. And the most dangerous part isn't even what you say but who hears it. And your moment of rage becomes their permanent record of your character, and your temporary loss of control becomes their permanent evidence against you, and your reputation is the cornerstone of your power. And rage is the fastest way to demolish a reputation built carefully over years. And guard your reputation with your life, because once damaged, it may never fully recover. And he who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command, and command starts with commanding yourself. And if you can't control your own mouth when angry, you'll never control anything else that matters. So your affirmation is, my anger serves me, not enslaves me. And number 2 is the victory parade, where success intoxicates the human mind worse than any alcohol ever could. And when you're winning, your ego demands recognition, and you want applause for your brilliance, and you crave credit for your strategy, and you need everyone to know how clever you've been. And this need for validation destroys more winners than failure ever could, because it blinds you to the reality of your situation. And when people become successful, their ego inflates dangerously, and they start believing they're invincible, that their success was inevitable, that their methods are foolproof, and the person consumed by grandiosity feels entitled to admiration and special treatment, and they lose touch with reality and overestimate their own capabilities. And countless examples throughout history show brilliant figures who reached the pinnacle of success only to become arrogant, lose touch with reality, and watch their empires crumble. And this is exactly when your tongue becomes most dangerous, and every explanation of your success is a tutorial for your competitors, and every revelation of your strategy is a road map for those who want to defeat you, and every detail you share about your methods becomes a blueprint for your replacement. And the wise person always says less than necessary. And the hunger for recognition is a trap that catches even brilliant minds because they can't resist explaining their genius and can't stay quiet about their victories, transforming from mysterious winners into transparent losers with every word they speak. And your competitors aren't celebrating your success but studying it, and they're not impressed by your achievements but reverse engineering them, and they're not your audience but your future opposition armed with your own intelligence. And losing contact with reality ensures that your success will not last. And the wise ruler never keeps faith when doing so would work against their own interests, and sharing your success story feels like keeping faith with those who supported you, but it's actually against your interests because it educates your enemies, and true masters celebrate internally and speak externally only when silence would create more problems than revelation, and they understand that mystery maintains power, while explanation destroys it. So your affirmation is, victory speaks silently. And number 3 is the liquid confession, where alcohol doesn't create new thoughts but simply removes the barriers that keep dangerous thoughts hidden, and every drink weakens your mental security system, and every glass lowers your defenses, and every bottle turns you into an intelligence asset for anyone smart enough to stay sober while you drink. And human beings have a powerful desire to fit in and belong, and this desire is evolutionary because in ancient times, being exiled from the tribe literally meant death. And alcohol amplifies this desire dangerously because you want connection so you share, you want acceptance so you confess, you want to be liked so you reveal things you should keep hidden, and the most valuable secrets throughout history have been extracted not through torture but through wine, and people confess their affairs, reveal their strategies, admit their fears, and expose their plans when inhibitions dissolve, and what would take years to learn through careful observation can be discovered in one drunken evening. And professional manipulators are masters of this technique, and they create comfortable environments, provide endless drinks, and ask seemingly innocent questions while their targets become more and more talkative, and they remember everything while you forget everything. And the person who appears to be your friend and drinking companion may actually be collecting information you would never share sober, and your drunk confessions become sober consequences, and that admission about your relationship problems becomes evidence in divorce proceedings, and that revelation about business struggles becomes intelligence for competitors, and that moment of honesty becomes a lifetime of regret, and the desire to belong makes you vulnerable, and in your quest for connection, you hand strangers the weapons they'll use against you later, and therefore, you must be cruel to your own impulses when alcohol flows, because your temporary desire to connect and confess will create permanent damage to your position, and the momentary pleasure of sharing secrets becomes the lasting pain of being exposed. And smart people drink strategically or not at all because they understand that in a world where everyone carries recording devices in their pockets, every intoxicated word can become permanent evidence, and they choose clarity over connection when the stakes matter. So your affirmation is, clarity is my power, and number 4 is the breaking point where pressure reveals character, and most people discover they have less character than they thought, and when stress mounts, deadlines approach, and expectations increase, the civilized mask that everyone wears slips away, and what emerges is often ugly, weak, and perfectly exploitable by those who understand human psychology. And stress creates desperation, and desperation creates confession, and under pressure, people admit they're unqualified, reveal they're struggling, and confess they're failing, and they think they're seeking support, but they're actually providing their enemies with targeting information. And one of the most dangerous human tendencies is rigidity, which is the tendency to snap when circumstances demand flexibility, and the most dangerous stress confessions happen to those closest to you. And you tell family about your work struggles, friends about your relationship problems, and colleagues about your inadequacies, and each confession creates a vulnerability that can be weaponized against you later, and self-obsessiveness makes us believe our struggles are unique and worthy of sympathy when in reality others are simply collecting data about our weaknesses, and your breaking point isn't a moment of authenticity but a moment of exploitation. And while you're focused on relieving pressure, others are focused on applying more of it, and your stress becomes their opportunity to extract information, gain advantage, or position themselves for your downfall. And throughout history, those who maintain composure under pressure are the ones who rise, while those who crack become cautionary tales. And it's better to be respected than loved if you cannot be both, because when you break under pressure, you inspire neither respect nor love but rather contempt. And people lose respect for those who can't handle stress professionally, and pressure is not your enemy, but your response to pressure is. And master your response, and pressure becomes a tool for eliminating weak competitors who reveal themselves under stress while you remain composed and powerful. So your affirmation is, pressure builds diamonds, and I am unbreakable. And number 5 is the sympathy extraction, where professional manipulators never attack directly but appear vulnerable instead, and they share carefully crafted stories of struggle, reveal strategic weaknesses, and make you feel like their savior, and while you're busy feeling important and needed, they're busy extracting every piece of valuable information you possess, and the sympathy trap works because it reverses the power dynamic, and instead of feeling threatened, you feel protective, and instead of guarding secrets, you share them to help, and instead of maintaining distance, you create intimacy that can be exploited later. And everyone wears masks in society, and the wise person learns to see through them while keeping their own securely in place, and real vulnerability is rare and messy while performed vulnerability is polished and purposeful, and learn to distinguish between genuine need and strategic manipulation because the person who tells the perfect sob story is often the most dangerous predator in the room, and you must learn to see the hostility that may hide behind a friendly facade, and your compassion becomes their competitive advantage, and every secret you share to help them becomes intelligence they use against you, and every weakness you reveal in solidarity becomes ammunition for future attacks, and human beings are so focused on their immediate needs that a deceitful person will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived, and your immediate need to help and connect makes you vulnerable to deception. And while you're focused on being a good person, they're focused on being a successful manipulator, and your kindness becomes their weapon, and true strength helps without revealing vulnerabilities, and it supports without sharing secrets, and it shows compassion without showing weakness, and master this balance or become prey to those who have already mastered you. So your affirmation is, I help without revealing, I give without exposing. And number 6 is the information exchange where social groups operate on information currency, and every secret shared, every opinion revealed, every confidence broken has value in the social marketplace, and when you participate in gossip, you're not just passing time but trading intelligence, and most people are terrible negotiators in this economy, and the gossip economy has simple rules that have remained constant throughout history, and information flows upward to power, and betrayal flows downward to weakness, and the person who collects secrets without sharing them accumulates power, while the person who shares secrets without collecting them becomes powerless, and every piece of gossip tells you something about both the subject and the person sharing it, and every workplace, every friend group, every community has information brokers who appear interested, trustworthy, and connected, but they're actually running intelligence operations where your secrets are the product and your trust is the transaction cost. And the human tendency to conform makes us participate in gossip without realizing we're being used. Because we want to fit in with the group, and the most dangerous aspect of gossip isn't what you say about others but what it reveals about you, and every secret you share proves you can't be trusted, and every confidence you break advertises your unreliability, and every piece of gossip you spread becomes evidence of your character, and when you participate in tearing others down, you signal that you'll do the same to anyone who trusts you, and the way people actually live is so far removed from the way they ought to live that anyone who abandons reality for wishful thinking pursues their own downfall, and you think gossip ought to be harmless social bonding, but the reality is information warfare where your secrets are traded like commodities, and master this economy by becoming a collector rather than a distributor, and speak through your work rather than your words, and learn to see yourself as others see you, and listen to everything and contribute nothing valuable, and watch as others destroy themselves with their own loose tongues while you remain untouched. So your affirmation is, secrets flow to me, not from me. And number 7 is the authority trap where when power challenges you unfairly, every instinct screams for justice, and you want to defend yourself, prove your worth, and demonstrate your competence. And this instinct is a trap that destroys careers because authority doesn't want your explanations but your submission, and most challenges from authority are actually tests disguised as conflicts, designed to reveal whether you can handle pressure, accept criticism, and maintain professionalism under fire, and when you respond emotionally, you fail the test and confirm their assessment of your limitations, and when criticized, our first instinct is to defend ourselves, to explain, to justify, and this instinct is catastrophic because it confirms to the critic that you are insecure, that their words have wounded you, that you care about their opinion. And the fairness you demand doesn't exist in power structures, and the respect you expect must be earned through results, not demanded through arguments, and the understanding you seek will never come from challenging those who hold your future in their hands, and your defense becomes your prosecution because every word you speak to justify yourself becomes evidence of your inability to accept responsibility. And the wise person wins through their actions, never through argument, and power operates by different rules than personal morality, and the outrage you feel about unfair treatment is irrelevant to your success, and smart people respond to authority challenges with strategic compliance followed by exceptional performance, and they prove their worth through results, not through rhetoric, and they understand that today's unfair criticism can become tomorrow's opportunity if handled correctly, so your affirmation is, results prove everything, arguments prove nothing, and number 8 is the revenge revelation, where when relationships end in betrayal, you possess nuclear intelligence of their secrets, fears, failures, and weaknesses, and the temptation to weaponize this information feels like justice, but revenge through revelation is a suicide strategy that destroys you more than your target, and revenge must be strategic, not emotional, and sometimes, ignoring what you cannot have and moving on is actually the best revenge, and every relationship is a mutual intelligence exchange because you know their vulnerabilities and they know yours, and when you start revealing their secrets, you're not just attacking them but advertising yourself as someone who weaponizes private information, and future partners, employers, and allies are always watching how you handle relationship endings, and they're evaluating whether you can be trusted with sensitive information, and your revenge becomes their warning about your character, and reputation is the cornerstone of power because once you're known as someone who betrays confidences when hurt, no one will ever fully trust you again, and the most devastating aspect of revenge revelation isn't the immediate damage to your target but the long-term destruction of your own reputation, and everyone learns that you're willing to betray confidences when wounded, and your credibility becomes worthless. And if you must seek revenge, do it through actions that can't be traced back to revealed confidences, and maintain your reputation for discretion while finding other ways to settle scores, and professional power players handle betrayal with strategic silence, and they preserve secrets as future leverage rather than spending them for immediate satisfaction because they understand that maintained secrets are more powerful than revealed ones, so your affirmation is, silence is my revenge, discretion is my shield, and number 9 is the competence theater where when you feel inadequate or uncertain, your mouth tries to compensate by performing confidence, expertise, and importance, and this overcompensation is psychological theater that fools no one and exposes everything, and your need to prove yourself becomes proof of your inadequacy, and insecurity creates verbal desperation, and you name drop to seem connected, over-explain to seem knowledgeable, and interrupt to seem important, and each behavior screams the opposite of what you intend, and your performance becomes everyone else's entertainment, and the insecure person constantly seeks validation from others, and they need to hear praise, to receive acknowledgement, to be seen, and this need makes them predictable and controllable, and true competence doesn't require advertisement, and real expertise doesn't need explanation, and genuine confidence doesn't seek validation, and when you constantly perform these qualities through words, you prove you don't possess them through substance, and the most dangerous part of competence theater is that it makes you predictable because people learn exactly which buttons trigger your need to prove yourself, and they discover how to manipulate you into revealing information, making poor decisions, or acting against your interests, and those who feel inadequate become rigid in their self-presentation, and they can't admit ignorance, can't ask for help, can't acknowledge mistakes, and this rigidity becomes their fatal flaw visible to everyone except themselves, and nothing great was ever achieved without facing danger, and the danger of appearing incompetent feels overwhelming when you're insecure, but the greater danger is proving your incompetence through desperate overcompensation, and master performers let their work create their reputation rather than trying to create it through constant self-promotion, and they're comfortable with others not immediately recognizing their value because they're confident in their ability to demonstrate it when it truly matters, so your affirmation is, my work speaks, my silence amplifies it, and number 10 is the promise prison where when facing pressure you can't currently meet, your mouth starts writing checks your reality can't cash, and promises feel like solutions because they solve immediate problems without requiring immediate capability, but every promise creates a debt that compounds with interest over time, and promise-making is the language of the desperate, and it's what people do when they lack present solutions to current problems, and instead of dealing with reality, they create fantasy futures that never materialize, and instead of building actual value, they build false expectations that eventually crush them, and this is a form of self-sabotage, and we promise what we cannot deliver, then wonder why our reputation crumbles, and the psychology of promises is seductive. Because they cost nothing upfront, and you can promise to change, improve, deliver, or perform without any immediate investment, but the payment always comes later when credibility is destroyed and trust is broken beyond repair, and every unfulfilled promise becomes evidence against your reliability, and every broken commitment proves your word is worthless, and every failed guarantee demonstrates that you prioritize temporary relief over permanent reputation, and one of the most destructive human tendencies is flightiness, which is the tendency to make grand promises without the discipline to follow through, and flighty people are charming in the moment but catastrophic in the long run, and they destroy trust wherever they go, leaving trails of broken promises and disappointed people, and he who builds on the people builds on mud because promises are built on hope, which is as unstable as mud, and people want to believe your commitments because it solves their problems too, but when promises fail, both builder and foundation collapse together, and strategic operators make fewer promises and exceed expectations rather than making grand commitments they can't keep, and they underpromise and overdeliver, building reputations for reliability rather than empty rhetoric. So your affirmation is, I exceed expectations, I don't create them. And number 11 is the validation addiction, where you've been conditioned your entire life to need approval from others, and every like on social media, every compliment from colleagues, every acknowledgement from authority figures feeds an addiction that destroys your power, and your hunger for validation makes you predictable and controllable because people learn exactly what to say to get what they want from you, and deep down, we all see the world through the lens of our own needs and desires. But the ones who control this tendency win while those who indulge it become victims of their own neediness, and when you need validation, you become predictable because people learn exactly what to say to get what they want from you, and they flatter you into revealing yourself, they praise you into overconfidence, they acknowledge you into dependency, and your addiction to approval becomes their remote control over your behavior, and the need for validation is the Achilles heel of the talented. And brilliant people destroy themselves throughout history because they cannot tolerate feeling unrecognized, and the most dangerous aspect of validation addiction is that it makes you reactive rather than proactive, and you respond to the world instead of shaping it, you chase approval instead of pursuing purpose, you measure yourself by others' reactions instead of your own standards, and this is the opposite of mastery, which requires operating from internal certainty rather than external validation. And people judge generally more by what they see than by what they understand, and they see your need for validation written on your face, visible in your behavior, audible in your voice, and it signals weakness to everyone who understands human nature, and the deepest human need is validation, and the deepest human weakness is needing it from others, and validate yourself internally, and you become unshakable, and the opinions of others become information rather than identity. So your affirmation is, I am my own source, I need no external validation. And number 12 is the intimacy illusion. Where modern culture teaches that vulnerability builds connection, and share your feelings, we're constantly told, be open, be authentic, let people in, and this is the intimacy illusion, which is the dangerous belief that sharing your deepest thoughts creates bonds when in reality it creates leverage against you, and everyone wears masks in society. And we do so for good reason, because the mask protects our inner world from exploitation, and the wise person learns to see through other people's masks but never takes off their own unless strategy specifically demands it, and every personal detail you share becomes a data point in someone's assessment of you, and every fear you confess becomes a button they can push, and every dream you reveal becomes something they can either support or sabotage depending on their interests, and the intimacy illusion is particularly dangerous because it feels so right, and sharing feels like connecting. Vulnerability feels like authenticity, openness feels like honesty, but in the social arena, what feels right is often what destroys us, and the people who know your deepest fears can trigger them at will, and the people who know your grandest dreams can either help you achieve them or ensure you never do, and true social intelligence means seeing people as they really are, not as we wish them to be, and this applies equally to how we present ourselves, and if you show everyone your true self, you give everyone power over you, and if you maintain strategic ambiguity, you retain control of your own destiny, and there is no other way to guard yourself against manipulation than by making people understand that telling you the truth will not offend you, but truth must be strategic, not confessional, and share what advances your interests, not what satisfies your need for connection, and true intimacy is rare and earned over years of mutual testing. And most of what passes for connection is just information extraction in disguise, and guard your inner world like a fortress. So your affirmation is, my depth is my mystery, my silence is my strength. And now for the final truth. After studying power and human nature across thousands of years of history, the ultimate conclusion remains consistent. The ultimate power is self-mastery, and this truth was understood by ancient philosophers 2,000 years ago, by Renaissance thinkers 500 years ago, and by every successful person throughout history who has realized that control of self must precede control of anything else, and your tongue has been betraying you your entire life, and you probably didn't even know it was happening, and every conversation you have is a potential minefield where one wrong word can destroy years of careful positioning, and every social interaction is a chess game where your words are either strategic moves or fatal blunders. And the situations we've explored aren't rare events that might happen to you someday, but daily occurrences happening to everyone around you right now. And the difference between victims and victors in life isn't intelligence or luck, but understanding that words have consequences and silence has power, and the game of life is won not by those who speak their minds freely, but by those who control their minds before they speak, and every word you utter either strengthens your position or weakens it. And in a world where everything is recorded and potentially weaponized against you, your verbal discipline becomes your most valuable skill, and your ability to speak strategically rather than emotionally determines whether you'll control your destiny or become a victim of your own voice, and learn to see through the masks that others wear, but never take off your own unless strategy demands it, and your mask protects you, your silence preserves you, your strategic speech advances you, and your words will either build your empire or become the tools others use to destroy it. And in a world full of people who can't control their tongues, the person who masters their mouth masters their destiny. So your final affirmation is, I speak only to win, or I don't speak at all.